Hey guys, I'm Autumn Dawn. I'm based in Dublin, Ohio. We are right outside of Columbus, Ohio. You know the school. OHIO. Yes, that's us. So anyway, I have a design build firm here and I've been in business now for about 10 years and it's been the outside of my family and my children, it's been the greatest work of my life. I entered interior design kind of on a whim. My original when I used to work was I went to school for finance and I worked for what is called a REIT. We bought and sold apartment complexes. That's what we did on the daily. And I stopped doing that whenever we had children. I stayed home with my girls and I sewed custom children's clothing. My grandmother was a seamstress and I love everything about a textile. Like, I just think it's a beautiful process. My mother used to sew our drapes. It's just who I was kind of at my core. And then eventually people came to me and they're like, hey, Autumn Dawn, will you do some window treatments for me? I'd never sewn a window treatment in my life, but I did sew the custom buggy carriers that we used to put our babies in. You remember those? And then I also sewed like pillows and all the things. So I was like, sure, I'll do that. So that's kind of how I began. That was like 15 years ago, right? I continued to do that. We moved to Dublin, Ohio, and we bought a house here that needed some renovation. She was 20 years old. You know the one, the old, just tan tiles, black granite, all the things. So I renovated my kitchen, and then a friend called and she said, hey, will you renovate my kitchen? I said, sure. Same year, a second friend called, will you renovate my kitchen? Sure. Now, listen, in my mind, I was like, I've got this great hobby. People are loving this. So I started renovating everybody's houses for a full year. The end of that year, my husband and I are sitting in our accountant's office, Andy, and Andy goes, hey, Mrs. Pochiro, do you have a job? No. A job? No. I have a hobby. He's like, well, listen, have you not been getting the letters from the bank saying that the IRS is flagging your checking account because of these deposits? Oh yeah, those letters? Yes, I did. And he went on to say, I hope you look good in orange. We need to create a business and backdate it. So that is how Autumn Dawn Design began. I looked over at my husband and I was like, well, I guess my hobby is making money. So we created Autumn Dawn Design and it was interesting and fun. Going back a year, listen, I love numbers and I am a numbers girl. I love a balance sheet. That sets me on fire. Going back and having to cross date receipts for an entire year is a pain in the snickety dickety. So you please, by all means, designers, keep your books tight because it matters. I really had to teach myself that not to chase expertise, right? Credibility is earned. And I have based my entire business off of that. Credibility is earned. So what does that mean to me is that whenever we pull in a new trade, we vet that trade. They're an asset to our business. So I want to make sure that I take them through the entire process. This is how we run day to day. This is what we expect whenever you enter a client's home. This is how the answers to, it's okay to say, I don't know, please refer back to us. I think the biggest challenge was putting those people in place and remembering that people don't know your expectations, right? What's in my mind and how I want things to go. And then somebody steps out of line. I'm like, what are you doing? No, you have to really put those processes and those expectations into play every day and not get frustrated with people whenever they don't meet them, especially if you haven't verbalized and put them in writing and taught them. Train them well, even though they're not your employee, right? I mean, these are outside trades, private contractors. Train them how you run your business and then bring everybody to that expectation. And I think building the process of that was the biggest challenge in teaching people in pulling in those trades. I have used the same trades in my business for 10 years. And that is because they know what to expect. I know what to expect. I don't walk on site anymore and go, oh, by the way, that grout line's a little crooked. I walk on sight line and he goes, oh, by the way, that grout line's crooked. No worries, I've got it. I know you're going to flag it. Yes, I am. So I think it's just teaching people the process and bringing them up to your expectations and make sure that your expectations are clear. In the Midwest in general, we have the Mart in Chicago. If you go to DC, we also have a beautiful design center there. In Columbus, Ohio, we don't have anything. So for my firm, what I have done is I have cultivated a great portfolio of vendors, if you will, mainly from High Point Market. High Point Market changed the way I ran my business. When I started coming to High Point Market 8 years ago, and actually did things with you guys, with Designers Today, Designers Experience, it changed the way I did business. So now I source everything from all over the world, not just High Point Market, but I pull in things sometimes from France, from Italy. I think once you get past the mindset that everything's just at your fingertips, because we live in a society that wants everything at our fingertips, we order everything off of Amazon, Wayfair, those companies. As a business owner, I feel from my bottom line that I really have to source from a curated patch of vendors. The key to good business is managing and sailing through the storms. We have to do that as entrepreneurs, as business owners. You cannot fall into a hole like a rabbit. You can't hole and tunnel. You cannot ostrich and put your head down in the sand. You really have to manage the storm. And every business through history has seen storms. We have our adopters, right? There's like 4 adopters. There's the early adopters, there's the innovators, those are your risk takers. That's a very small portion of our economy. Then we have the late adopters, and then we have the people who are just laggards. Like they're just not going to get on board. We've always had that, right? But we all have to keep on being, if you're an early adopter, keep being an early adopter, keep being an innovator. Don't run scared, because the moment that we all start pulling back, stop taking risks, stop managing the waves, stop doing business as we would normally do business, it hurts our entire society. I love watching things about brain health podcasts, Andrew Huberman Labs, Jordan Peterson, Daniel Amen. Like I've always been a big brain health person. You hear people talk all the time about heart health. I think brain health is kind of one of those things that we take for granted, we forget. So I am really right now into the neurodesign aesthetics and neuroscience of aesthetics and biophilic design. Like I believe that this is going to change our world, right? It's emerging. It's the same thing as a few years ago with AI. Everybody was like, oh, AI is just going to be blah, blah, blah. I think neuroscience and the neuro design aesthetic is going to be where things go. And honestly, it's always been there, right? I mean, we've always designed environments as to what makes us feel good. Like I design with a lot of blue because I love the color blue, and it's a calming color. And I think that whenever we can educate people that, well, it's really not just about your interiors and your residential space. It's really about how do you feel in the space? What gives you energy? What makes you, and we're seeing it too with bigger companies. For instance, Apple has a patent now on AirPods to measure your brain waves. That sounds crazy. That's out of this world. Like, what are they really going to look at with this data? But it's going to be that same way in the interior space, I think. I think that we're going to get to a point where we have so much data and so much information to the psychology of design and why it is that we feel so much better when we're surrounded by plants, surrounded by color, surrounded by the right lighting temperature. Those things matter. One of them I can't tell you about fully today because it will be a long story and you'll be like, oh my goodness, you're boring me to death. But one is that I've lived in 5 different states in the last 20 years, right? People always say, why do you move around so much? Like, what are you doing? My husband is an engineer, same company for 25 years now. He works for International Paper, and we love paper, by the way. So that has been a really neat thing to be able to move around the country and be a part of. People do not realize that whenever you live in different areas of the country, that they are so diversely different, right? I mean, living in the deep South, I grew up in Southern Louisiana. It is a total different atmosphere than living 6 hours away in Memphis, Tennessee. And then we moved from Memphis, Tennessee, and we went to Phoenix, Arizona, which I had never been out of the South. So going to the West was like, wow, this is wild. And then we went there from the Northeast. We went up to Boston. We lived there for 2 years, and we've been here in Ohio now for 10 years. So that always kind of surprises people, especially whenever I say, oh, I've been in Ohio for 10 years. Got 2 grown daughters who I've raised here pretty much since 6th grade. But yeah, so I guess that would be the one thing. The other thing is I really love like learning new things. So I always try to like last year I tried to learn French. In Southern Louisiana, we spoke French. You had to take it in school. I thought I was just going to pick back up French and learn it. No, not at all. But anyway, so I'm always trying something new. One week I'll be like, oh, I'm learning to draw. And the next week I'm going to be like, oh, I'm learning to water paint.